for it to continue to do those bond issuances. So this, we can still continue to receive some state match. So the two projects we do have in line right now that are under what is called unfunded approval, which they've gone through the approval process. So now we're just waiting for the state to sell bond, and we can get our allocation. So those are the Bloomington High School Stadium and the Washington High School alternative. So we're looking at probably close to about $3 million of state match. So those are we're looking forward to that, and those will be added to any of the bond issuance that we have, along with developer fees that we're going to be presenting to the board for them to determine what kind of next series of project that we'll allocate our available funding towards.
Thank you.
All right.
Oh, Owen, if it's okay, if I can add one more thing.
Sure.
You mentioned that back on the March ballot, it was Prop 13, I believe, that went before the voters. There was a big drive for voters to go out and vote that down. I don't know if you're aware of that, but even in my own neighborhood, you've ever been on the neighborhood app or the Nextdoor app in your area? People were talking about that and how this was just another money grab by the state. And I tried my best from my perspective to try to educate people on how those dollars were spent and that it was not going to increase their taxes. They felt that this was going to increase their taxes. And so there was a lot of misinformation out there. And unfortunately, although I changed a few minds, I don't think 5 or 6 different people who changed their minds made an impact on passing that bond. However, I'm sure there will be another opportunity in another couple of years. I know that districts for the most part, we have to do it every 2-year cycle. I believe we can put a measure on the ballot. When can the state next time put a bond measure on the ballot? Is it going to have to wait until 2022?
I'm not sure. That's a good question. I know they were actually trying to on the ballot earlier, sooner than that. At least Cash was preliminarily talking about that. Yeah, they were very actively pursuing to get things on the ballot as soon as possible. But some of the dates thrown out, I believe, it was sooner, earlier than that. So they kind of want to build on that momentum, with Prop 51 and so.
It is unfortunate because a lot of districts who had bond measures on the ballot failed. And this was just a weird situation. This was before the COVID-19 got to the point where businesses were shutting down and people were getting laid off. That hadn't happened yet. So we couldn't really blame it on the COVID-19 thing. It was a fear of taxes being raised. I believe that was the issue. Another thing that I wanted to bring up before this committee, just for your consideration, looking at how much that we have the authority through Measure B that we've already done, $100+ million, and here's Measure G for $225 million. With all that investment into facilities, I would like us to consider in the future being able to use some of the future bond dollars to safeguard these assets. So consider about putting in a camera security system to help with identifying those who are vandalizing our property, graffiti, and so forth, creating damage that we're able to identify and bring some of these people to justice. and try to reduce the impact on our facilities. We spend so much money on these. We try to build new facilities and beautify what we have, that we have no way right now to really protect them.
We have, excuse me, we have security that patrols, and we have night patrol.
That is correct. That is correct. But by the time they get there, the people are gone. And we have no way of finding out who it was that caused the damage. So it's very difficult to hold people accountable in that way.
Well, then why can't we allocate that money into extra hours into having somebody work there?
I don't see why we
somebody,
can't.
And then having somebody actually get the hours and then putting food on the table.
I don't know, Owen, are we allowed to use the bond money for salaries?
No. Because a lot
strictly
of the
for
security
facilities
systems at the schools work.
Facilities.
Question, but that needs to be an allowable expense on bond funds.
That would have a district expense.
Yes,
Right.
I think that's what the case is.
Yeah.
So it doesn't mean that we can't do both, but if we need to spend these dollars on facilities, that would be a perfect explanation.
Because the kids vandalize the security equipment anyways, so there need to be a way to protect it, because half of the security systems at the schools don't work or they get broken. That's my issue.
Okay. It's something.
I mean, I'm not against it. I'm not being defensive. I'm just saying that's my issue with it, is we need a way to safeguard it.
I appreciate your feedback. What I just want to do is put it out there for future consideration. I'm not looking for an answer right now.
Yeah.
And Rick, I don't know that that's under the jurisdiction of this committee.
Yeah,
exactly.
That's a board.
Yeah.
A board part of their recommendation. I don't know if Owen, can we make recommendations like that to the board? I'm not sure if that's in our jurisdiction.
No, that'd be something different, I think. Yeah, I don't think that's not our.
Because that's under security.
That's not our. Yeah, that's not our responsibility.
Right. It's not the responsibility of the member, you know, to determine the projects.
Right.
But I think Rick was just trying to kind of, you know, just kind of getting some just informal feedback in terms of how the committee felt, you know, about allocating some of the resources towards, you know, things like security camera to protect our assets. So he's just trying to gather opinion. He wasn't trying to get a formal direction from the, you know, committee.
I mean, like around our projects? Sorry, I'm like a little late to the game.
Oh.
Sorry. Like the things that we're funding, correct? Rick, are you?
Exactly. If you think about it, I mean, eventually we'd like to protect all our buildings, correct?
There's our multi-purpose rooms, things like that.
Exactly. And I see this as an appropriate use of bond funds, and it prevents us from having to use general fund dollars that would take money away from kids. That's my whole point.
I agree, but I do think it's still a board thing.
I think so too.
And that's certainly something I could take to the board, but since this is a citizen bond oversight committee, if we want to use bond funds, this would be the first place I would bring that, and then we would go to the board for the actual authorization.
Could we go? It seems like we're getting off track. Off our agenda right here on the new business. Seems like we're going off on a tangent.
No, I'm good. We can move forward, Owen.
All right. Thank you. All right, Stephen, I'll just continue with my my PowerPoint presentation. If you go to the next slide, please. All right, this is a little bit of the fun part, at least my fun part for me. I thought I'd take this opportunity to show some updated progress photos of the project. Hopefully everything COVID will be a non-issue in a couple of months, and we can actually meet in person and actually give a physical tour and kind of feel the dirt and the bricks and so forth. So anyway, this is just some progress photo of the Colton High School baseball field renovations. This project was probably been most impacted by COVID. There's other issue, as well, construction related issue. This one probably was, been impacted in terms of schedule standpoint. The most they had, with regards to some of the labor workforces that they really kind of scaled back, especially even though the government determined as essential services. Some of their subcontractors didn't feel comfortable, working during that time. But we are picking up steam on this project and working with the contractor to get this project completed. So we're looking at probably late August or early December for completion. You can start seeing some of the. This was taken about a week ago, so they will progress a little further than that. They're finishing up the dugouts, and they're going to be setting steel pretty soon. They're also doing some foundation for some of the backstop and the foul pole nettings that's going to be installed shortly. Next slide, please. All right, this is a quick update on the Colton High School new cafeteria NPR building. That actually is going along well. A couple months ago, we were actually the steel fabrication shop. They had to close down for a couple of weeks because of the COVID. So we were impacted, as well. Not as much as the stadium project, but we have a pretty good contractor, diligent, and they're working through. They're doing what they can to, recapture and time loss. But things are, moving along relatively well. So we're projecting the completion sometime in mid-November. So these are just so I was quite elated to see the steel going up because as I mentioned, the COVID, the plant had to shut down for a few weeks. So but yeah, so I was quite excited. I took quite a few steel photos and showed it to my kids, and they got bored by the fourth photo. I'm like, okay, what else? All right, next photo, please, or next slide. All right, this is the some update on the Colton Middle School NPR building, which is another one of the board priority projects. This is a modernization of NPR building built in the 50s. So you can see the upper left-hand corner, the kitchen hood is being installed. We have some serving area. Some of the wall finishes are going on. They're working on the flooring right now, and then followed by other equipment. In the middle is a walk-in refrigerator and a freezer that was recently installed. And then upper right-hand corner, some of the NPR room finishes, the drywall going up, and the ceilings actually are ongoing right now. And the bottom right-hand corner is the toilet room. We kind of modeled that, after the Colton High School Stadium by using larger tiles. So a lot of these projects, we work collaborate with M&O and to kind of taking their feedback and doing what we can from a design standpoint to really minimize, from the maintenance factor. Like one of the benefits of these large tiles is there's less grout to clean. And I know I've done my share of grout cleaning at home, my wife's honey-do list. So and I understand kind of completely where they're coming from. So next slide, please.
It's really beginning to look nice too.
Yeah, it's really, when you see a lot of kind of wood stud and things like that, you're like, wow,
yes,
a lot of work to go. But yeah, once they start to see the finishes, it's really.
I mean, compared to what it was before.
Oh yeah, Pat, did you teach? You taught at Colton Middle School, right? Is that correct?
No, I taught it out in an elementary school, but my kids went to Colton Middle, so it's been many years.
Right. Yeah. So we're looking forward to finished project. That project is currently scheduled to complete about August of this year. So just
Very
a
good.
couple of months away.
Very good.
All right. Next one is 850 Washington Street tenant improvement. Now this is not being paid for out of the bond fund, at least this phase is not. But I know we walked the building with the committee member a few months ago, just showing what some of the long-term plans we have in mind for that building. This is the 850 and 900 building. This allow us in the long-term goal to consolidate a lot of facilities, obviously inherent efficiency and benefit from doing so. So this is just the first phase of that kind of the long range plan. The next phase, which we discussed before, which is the boardroom staff development center, and those will be partially paid for by the bond fund. So, but again, this is some really some exciting projects that we're working on. The board have made a commitment to for improvements for students, and they also recognize the need to provide a better facility for the staff as well. So it's great to see commitment to your staff and provide really a professional working environment. So once we get to the more closer to the finished stage, maybe we can arrange for a tour as well, if the committee wishes. Next slide, please. All right, another bond project. It's Terrace Hill Middle School parking expansion. We just opened a bid for that recently, and we're getting the contract finalized. We're going to commence construction in July of next month. This is about a 3 months project. There's much needed improvements. We're expanding the bus drop off and student parking. Those are all projects that are reinforces what the board's goals and are really to provide a safer environment for students. And this really helps out, in terms of vehicle circulation, safety, and pedestrian safety students. So we're it also provides much needed additional parking stalls for the staff as well. So we're looking forward to working on that this project, or getting it kicked off. And next, please. All right. This is another. It's actually a funding kind of related to what Jerry you were inquiring about, some of the state opportunity to leverage our funding. This is a career tech education grant that we've been that we actually applied for a couple months ago. It's a multi-step process. It's a competitive-based grant. You go through, you submit the concept design, and the first round is they give you a scoring. If you meet that scoring, then you go to the next round for funding. This particular project is at Colton High School. With the new addition of the new NPR building, the goal is to repurpose the existing NPR building and convert it into a culinary program. So the state has a program for career tech education that provides up to $3 million of state match. Again, this is again us trying to leverage our money to build new facilities. So we did we actually received pretty good scoring. So that was based on the first round, so we're quite encouraging for us. And then the state has kind of, because of the COVID situation, they had delayed the next round of funding. But those are another project that we're going to be presenting to the board and get further direction on possibility of allocating more resources if we're fortunate enough to get the up to $3 million of grant to make this improvement. And next, please.
Owen?
Yes.
Is that what us old folks refer to as the cafeteria building?
Yep, that is.
Okay.
That's the old cafeteria.
Yeah, with that plan, I didn't show the dining area, but that we for multiple reasons. The dining area, we're going to keep, but the kitchen portion, you know, that we tried looking at repurposing it, but it didn't really work very well. You know, looking at the needs of to support the curriculum side. So, and plus there's also more funding available when you do new construction. So, our strategy was to remove the kitchen portion and rebuild it from ground up to give them a state-of-art culinary program. And so there's some, you know, really exciting feature. We have outdoor planting gardens, so hopefully they can do some planting. And is it the farm to, I forgot the terminology, but, you know, hopefully things that they grow, they can actually use in the kitchen, and they can host banquets and so forth, and they can learn their, you know, culinary skills and serving skills. And there's multitude of, you know, careers, good careers that can be, you know, offer, you know, opportunities for our students. So I'll keep my fingers crossed. Hopefully we'll be able to get safe for that. All right. I think this concludes my update on the new projects. Does anybody have any questions? All right. If not, we'll move on to the next item, which is a financial report. Stephen, could you pull up the, it's a 2-pager.
Oh, yes.
All right, great. Thank you. Great. So this is an updated consolidated stats report printed out as of last week. So Amanda, I know you're new committee. Just to make it easier for the committee to kind of look at the differences from the previous session instead of trying to kind of find the differences, I highlight some of the major points, the kind of main revisions from the previous meeting. So on this page, we highlight the administrative control, the program costs. So those are kind of, it covers a lot of umbrella. We you know, updated the budget and expenditure for that. That covers, you know, the staff salary, you know, some of the program expenses, like, you know, some of the software to monitor accounting. You know, we have program management consultant in the past. Those are, you know, some of those kind of general project administrative expenses. So, so we did it up to that. Next highlight is the 900 Washington Plaza. We actually, previous version it showed 850 and 900. So I want to make sure it's clear that we're not allocating bond fund for the 850 suite, that we're only allocating for the 900, the board room, you know, slash staff development center. So that was the reason that one was highlighted. Next page, please. And the bottom section, the Colton Middle School parking lot, Colton High School portable relocation replacement of Bloomington High School. Those projects were previously under the active projects, and those are just got reshuffled or moved down to the completed projects. And below that, under the miscellaneous, so in the front, if you recall, I mentioned the program costs. So this is kind of a breakdown of what those program costs consist of. We add another line item. These are small projects. Those are kind of miscellaneous things, like, you know, last, you know, school site, they would do fundraiser for the marquee sign, and we would, you know, supplement their funding to help them, you know, with like testing inspection costs and some minor structural modifications. We have some old legacy project there, you know, old modernization project that were, you know, done, you know, 15, 20 years ago, that there are still some like accessibility up there. For instance, like Bernie, you know, there was modernization done early 2000s, but the state actually requires some additional, you know, concrete walkway to be replaced. So we have a couple, you know, a couple of those miscellaneous projects that we're trying to wrap up and get closed out. So that one is the reason for this particular item. And this is the concludes my update of the financial report. Does anybody have any questions?
No.
No.
All right.
Nope.
All right, we're almost to the end. So moving next item, I'll turn it back to you, Mr. Viggs, for you're down to the member comments.
Hey, any members have a comment that want to? Any member comments?
No, I don't.
No,
Yeah.
just that it's been a long time, so it's like we have a lot to cover.
Yeah, a lot to ingest. Yeah.
Yes.
Right.
Hey. Okay. Next meeting coming up, on kind of an idea.
Yeah, Casey or my admin assistant will continue to reach out to the committee members. So we'll give the committee member a couple of dates to select from in September. Hopefully, we'll be able to meet in person, but if not, we'll meet virtually if that's okay with the members. And we kind of worked out the bugs in the first meeting, right? So hopefully the second will.
Yeah, we'll be a little bit more successful. So.
Right.
Okay, and with that, do you want to go ahead and adjourn, or?
Yes, I don't have any more comments.
No more comments? Okay, motion to adjourn?
I second that motion. Pat
Okay.
Chavez.
Okay, and then we're adjourned at 7:05. All right.
All
All
right.
right. Take
Thanks,
care.
everyone.
All right, thank you,
everyone.
everybody.
All right.
Good to meet you all.
All right.
Okay.
Thanks.
See you next
All right,
time.
thank you.
See?
All right.
Thanks, James. Thanks,
right.
Stephen, and thanks, Melanie.
Owen, give me a call. Hey, call me about the letter. Owen.
Oh, okay.
All right.
I'll give you a call.
Okay, thanks.
All right.
Thank you.
Bye, guys.
All right.
All right. Take care.
With that, we're adjourned.
Thank you.
All right. Bye.
Thank you, Stephen. I'm going to